Hey friends, it's Mari. I'm back again today with another project for Honeybee Stamps. Today I'm going to be creating this really soft and pretty card. I'm going to be using some alcohol inks, and I'm going to be creating this card also using the beautiful Paradise Blooms stamp set, as well as the Slimline Sentiments eyelet dies for my sentiment today. I'm going to start off here with some isopropyl alcohol, and the substrate that I'm going to be working on today is a product called Duralar. It's basically a plastic translucent paper, and I'm just starting off here by putting that isopropyl alcohol onto that paper with a little pipette. I'm going to drop a little bit of raspberry alcohol ink into that isopropyl alcohol, and then I'm just going to take the blowing tool and I'm going to move that alcohol ink around onto my Duralar. And I just wanted to create something, obviously, as you saw on the card, something really soft and pretty. I didn't want the ink to be too saturated. And so you'll see me continue to add more of the isopropyl alcohol to dilute the pigment. You can see there where the isopropyl has dried up a little bit. The pigment is quite a bit darker. And I'm just trying to work from the center of my paper out, trying to create those sort of like flows of color out towards the edge of the paper. And you'll just see me continue to move the alcohol out towards the edge and then the ink in the center, and then blow that ink out to the edges. This is really, really simple to do. And the thing with alcohol ink is every time you create something, it's pretty much an original work. To recreate something another time would be really difficult to do and do it in exactly the same way. So really the idea with this medium is just have some fun with it, play around with it, and create some backgrounds for card fronts that are just really interesting and pretty. And I love how the Honeybee Stamps pairs up with this background to create just a soft and beautiful card. So again, just adding more color. Now I'm going into some lemonade and just really diluting it out with that ink and blowing it to the outside edges. And this blowing tool is really, really great for moving the product without having to use any kind of a straw or anything like that. You can just really easily move the product around on your paper with this blowing tool, so it works really well. Now I'm just again trying to get a little bit more of that yellow in there with the lemonade and just trying to move my color around so that it's evenly distributed on my paper, and that is what I'm doing there. Now I'm going ahead and I'm going to add a little bit of Ember, which is a pretty pigmented and saturated color. I wanted it just to be sort of like a little hint of this corally orange, so I am going to dilute that quite a bit as well with my isopropyl alcohol. Just going to take a stylus and dab some of the Ember in the center there to create some little dots. I will go ahead and do that with my other two colors, my lemonade and raspberry as well, and just adding a variety of sizes of dots to that center area there. It just kind of adds a little bit of interest and detail to the center of the card. And I'm sorry I kind of cut off showing that up close, but I will show it again later in the process here so that you can see what those dots look like in the center of the card. Now here again, I want to have that ember color in more than just one place, so I'm adding it to some other areas. I want to just soften that kind of blob of that orange up a little bit by just adding some more of the isopropyl and a little bit more of the ink and so on and so forth, back and forth until I get the look that I really want, which is just a really soft kind of look. And you can see there I'm just blowing that around quite a bit with that blower. Pardon me. And now I'm just going to take in and add some of those pink dots. And there you go. You can see how those dots are all just adding a really nice little effect to the center of my front. Now I have trimmed this down to be a card front, and I have stuck it onto a card front or card base, an A2 size card base. This is some Neenah Solar White cardstock in 110 pound. And I've just stuck that on there with a little bit of tape runner. And here I'm just showing you the beautiful Paradise Bloom stamp set. I'm going to use a couple of stamps here, the kind of elongated flower. I don't know if it's a calla lily, or I'm showing you there. That's the one that I'm using. And I'm also going to use one of the foliage leaves here as well. That's kind of more of an elongated soft leaf to go along with this beautiful bloom. I'm going to take some vellum. I've got it in my MISTI. I'm just adding a little bit of anti-static powder so that my embossing powder does not stick to the paper. I just want the embossing powder to stick to the ink, so that anti-static powder will allow that to happen. I'm inking up my stamp with some sticky embossing ink. This is just a clear ink, and it's going to leave that sticky ink impression on my vellum. I'm now just going to take that to some gold embossing powder, and I will heat this up with my heat tool to melt that embossing powder. I'm just going to take that little brush and get the rest of that powder off of there before I heat it up. Just going to heat this really briefly. I don't want to warp my vellum, so I'm not going to spend too much time with my heat tool on that paper. And now I just have fussy cut that out. And here you can see the leaf that I've also stamped out. And now I'm just going to take my Honey Bee Stamps glue tube, and I'm going to just glue that on the stem of the bloom. And I'm also going to glue on that foliage piece, that leaf there as well. And I love how this looks. It's just so pretty and soft. And the beautiful thing about the vellum is you can see through it, right? Because it is translucent. You can see through it and see that beautiful alcohol ink color behind it. And I think this is really stunning. Now, what I have done with the Slimline Sentiment die Hello is I have cut that from some gold metallic paper, and I'm just going to adhere that down again with my honeybee glue tube and get that stuck down to my card front, and my card is going to be finished. I really love how this turned out. The alcohol ink is a really fun medium to create a really soft card front, and these stamps and dies from Honeybee Stamps are the perfect embellishments for my card front. I love how this looks. This Sentiment Hello is so versatile. You can give this card to someone for pretty much any occasion, and I really love how this turned out. There are links in the description box below to the Honeybee shop, as well as the products that I used today. Make sure you check that out, and check out Honeybee Stamps on the blog and the Facebook page and all of the different social media platforms where you can find Honeybee Stamps inspiration. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day. Stay safe, and I'll see you again another time. Bye-bye.